back to stage. You have been in the session in your language, and you have been in the topic about green manure crops, and after that we showed you the databases, and now we are back on stage, and I'll leave the word to Bruno Heller, who will drag people in from the different countries, and we should hear what their experiences are in the last session.
Yeah, thank you, Marianne. And as this morning, we would like to have again your feedback before you enter and later on the technical questions, because you have seen now some videos, some films, and maybe you had a look also on the database, and we would like to know how you share these tools. How do you use them in your practice? As I said, the most important in this project, as we spread out all these tools. And of course, we are very grateful if you give us some feedback how we can do that and what were the experience in your sessions. I do it in the same order as this morning. So we will start with Vincent, who had a group from French speaking people. And what did you discuss, or what were the what can you do to spread out all these tools developed in Best for Soil? Vincent, please.
Yes, hello back. I'm back. Bruno, I would have to say that was not a lot of discussion going on this afternoon, close to zero, but I have to say that in Switzerland, at least, I was quite active already for now a year. So I think people know Best for Soil, they know the databases, or perhaps not database, but the videos and the fact sheets. And I think that, and it was a small group, it's like 6 participants, so I don't have more to say, but I guess I'm pretty sure that the tools are appreciated. As last point, crop rotation in Switzerland is still quite used, so it's perhaps not that much a new thing for Swiss growers.
But you said me in backstage, and that's what I would like to share with everybody. Really, the videos and the fact sheets, there are also very usable tools, for instance, in the education context. And I guess that's what you mentioned also. Thank you, Vincent.
You're welcome.
So we go on to the second person on my list. It's Harm. I don't know if you are here in backstage. I know he's very busy with many different topics. Oh yes, I'm happy you are there.
Yeah.
What did you discuss in your group? What is the use? How do you spread out all these fantastic tools from Best for Soil?
Yeah. I think the first thing I need to say that, for example, for the databases, people agree that there are very nice and strong tools. But as you know, that the nematode database is already online in the Netherlands for years, and also very well known already for years. And so there was not a whole lot of discussion about this. New for us is the pathogen database, and that for sure will be used. It's an interesting tool. Although when you look at the green manure crops, there is still a lot of information not known on green manure crops, but I think there will be a few technical questions we will discuss then in the next session.
Part, yeah.
As you just said, all the materials, the videos and the fact sheets are nice material, and also especially for education purposes, as a lot of education is going on online now, and that is very well received by also educational institutes.
Okay.
A lot of interest to use this material. And how can we spread it in the network? The last session, there were not too many people anymore. After a long day of sessions, I think they decided to go somewhere else, so I didn't get a lot of input there. But I'm sure that people in the Netherlands will use these tools in their own networks and promote this in their networks.
Thank you very much, Harm, and all the people out hearing us on the stage. I guess that's the most important work for all the facilitators here in the round, just to let know people that there is a lot of material, a lot of stuff to use. What were the experience in your session, Michaela? Did the German-speaking persons participate a little bit more, or was it also silent, and were they so shy as in other countries? Please, Michaela. Yeah, it's a far way from Germany to come here up on the stage.
Okay.
You are here. Thank you.
So we had a lot of people joining us again, but there were only very few who speak. Some gave informations via chat, but I think it is a little bit they have to look themselves into the database and into the possibilities. And I encouraged them to give answers. So we had again a session how to respond, and there you don't have to fill everything. We try to make it as easy as possible. With a grouping of the database. So there were again that, but I think we have to talk internally. One very good hint, I think, is the thinking of a farmer is we have two databases, because we know one is for nematodes, one is for diseases. And one asked, can you put them together? Because a farmer has one crop and looks for the possible diseases. He doesn't look for nematodes or fungi or something like that. And that is realistic. And that would really be a step forward for practical use.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And maybe also we will have some answers on the technical side from this question later on. Then I go on to Michael, to Ireland, the English-speaking person. I've seen on the Padlet, you noted a lot of feedback from the people. So I think you had a nourished discussion in your group. Please, Michael.
Hello, Bruno. Yeah, I think we got some good feedback through the chat section, and I think a lot of it is very positive. People in Ireland and the UK maybe wouldn't have been as familiar with the original Dutch Altashima nematode database, so I think they like the idea of it, and they suggested some improvements, and those improvements are kind of have already been raised by other participants, so I won't echo them. I think there was some discussion around actually the potential of it as a way of gathering a lot of information on the status of soil-borne diseases in Europe and on nematode issues in Europe. And it there's quite a powerful tool there for potentially to collect a lot of nice data on the issues across Europe. So there was some discussion on that and the potential to maybe a way of reporting your own rotation and the problems you're having into a centralized system that could then be recorded. So I think that was a nice discussion on the potential to expand the database even from where it is today. I think a lot of people like the idea of the wikis that are coming, that they like that. So overall, and in terms of the fact sheets and videos, there was a lot of nice comments on the fact sheets and videos, particularly from educators as a resource that they could use going forward. So I think overall, very positive feedback and very useful, constructive feedback as well on bits that could be improved.
Yeah, what a pleasure to hear that, and also some good new ideas. That's motivating for the people in this project. Thank you very much, Michael, and
welcome.
You will come soon back then for the technical questions. And the last not least, for Denmark, I don't know, Marianne, will it be you?
Yeah.
For the moderation for this subgroup, what were the discussion in your group, please?
Yeah, we showed both the nematode scheme and the pathogen scheme, and the comments to them. Maybe I should start to tell that we haven't promoted this material so far. So this is the first real promotion we done of the website in this about these things they could use and find there. So it was new to many, but the demonstration still gave them some impression, and they had some comments to them. And one of them was that they were quite surprised to read all these Latin names. They were not familiar with them, and we said to them, no, of course, it's only very few persons who are familiar with the Latin names. So that if possible, they should be compared with the trivial name if it doesn't confuse anything. So and it should be more concentrated on what's for the local. For example, Denmark, what's relevant for Denmark, and also it should be sorted out what's relevant for these crop chosen. If you choose potatoes and winter wheat and maize in a rotation, then it should only extract the relevant pathogens. And also the same with the disease pressure. It should be sorted which of them are very bad and which of them can you neglect in these crops. Also, another thing could be a graphic showing of the prognosis for the different pathogens and nematodes. How will they develop in this particular crop rotation? That could be also a very good visual tool. And another thing, a comment that came about Best for Soil and the setup here was that it was nice to go to stage and hear the comments from the other countries. Couldn't we do that even more? And I suggested that he should suggest that on stage. So I hope he'll be in. But that was some of the comments, and maybe he could explain how he think we could do.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marianne. Very rich this harvest you present here. And sometimes I have the impression it's like eating. When you are eating, the appetite is coming more and more. Yeah. And that's also with this project. We develop a lot of ideas, what we could do further on. And as you said, it's the balance to do, to spot on local needings and then also to show general purpose and for interesting for everyone. Thank you very much. I will collect that, and don't forget for the facilitators, you can still write on the Padlet if you have something coming up, or also for all the participants, use the chat if you are too shy to take to speak in the plenum. And here now on the stage you can't do that, but on the chat we see that. Thank you very much, and I give the floor back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bruno. Yeah. And we carry on here, and one of the things I would also like to say, as Bruno said, you can just send in your comments and questions, and it could be nice if we could maybe collect, if you have some things you'd like us to focus on, we could collect these topics, and if it was a wish from enough people, then we could put up newsletters or other sort of information where we could extract our knowledge and known things from the different countries, and then send them to you when you're registered in the database, in the website. So that could be a suggestion. Yeah. And now we are still on stage, and we are all 5 countries together. So I'd like to hear if you have some questions from this morning. And there's a comment from Harm. Good idea. We could make practice abstracts based on these questions. Would you like to come in with some of your questions from your session? Because now we're in the part where we share the technical questions.
Yeah. The remark I just made was And we make practice abstracts in Best for Soil, so that are short summaries on a certain topic that can be used in practice. So when there are certain questions that are reaching us, then we can work that out in terms of a practice abstract, so we can share the information available with the target group as the practice abstracts, and they can be found on the website.
Yeah.
One thing that was coming up that was a remark, but also perhaps a question. When I look back at the sessions, also on the databases, the nematodes and the pathogens, that in many cases farmers don't seem to have a preventive strategy. They just wait until problems occur and then try to find solutions. And there's very little soil sampling going on in Europe. And so that could really help to detect problems in an early stage, and then it's much easier to find solutions for these problems. But that's a general remark. When I go back to the presentation of Michaela on green manure crops, an interesting presentation. But what we also, there were some questions on, as we look, let me put it this way, when we look in the nematodes and the pathogen scheme, that for many green manure crops, there is little information, and there's missing information. The question for Michaela was, can they help us, or do they have information on the green manure crops, on nematodes and on soil-borne diseases? That was one. And we saw a wide range of green manure crops. And when we look around in the Netherlands, we only see 4 or 5 species. Could you give some information on acreages of other types of green manure crops in, for example, Germany or other countries in Europe?
Yeah. So, Michaela, could you come to stage?
And perhaps one more question, when I'm allowed to. That was the presentation of Gita on clubroot, and that you saw the average temperatures in the fall, they are be higher and higher, and could that have an influence on the multiplication of soil-borne diseases, fungi and pathogens? Thank you.
Yeah, but let's take Michaela first, and then Gita will join us here.
Now I have to remember the questions in total. There was a percentage of different crops in Germany. We have since greening, I think that is a EU regulation. We have in Germany the law that we have to choose 2 crops, and the relation between the crops is 60 to 40 minimum by seed percentage. You in Holland have 99 to 1. Therefore, you do not see so much differences. And you in Denmark have the Afslag, the volunteer cereals are part of the blend. So you see in Germany a lot more differentiation. And as you said before, in Germany, we do not look so intensive for nematodes. The land use is more extensive than in Holland. Our land is in average a little bit cheaper than Holland. So in Netherlands, the green manure crops are part of a very intensive agriculture system, and it is focused on the effect. So nematode reduction is number 1, and therefore you look for a cover crop which gives this nematode reduction.
Yeah, that's why we don't like mixtures so much.
Yeah, it is the effect you need. And you are looking for the technical product. You don't want to have the cheap product. The Danish farmer also like the cheap product. Therefore, the sowing density in Denmark is about 8 kilograms with radish. We have 25, you have 30. So there are local differences in usage. And therefore, it was not so easy to combine it to one presentation. And therefore, I took 10 minutes later, longer, before to explain everything. But time was over.
Yeah, I had to cut. Sorry.
The German farmer also gets money for his cover crops. And we have more intensive, and the population is a little bit, the farmer has not the standing as it has in Holland. I think in Holland you have this, I'm a proud farmer, I'm part of the community, and all together for Holland. In Germany, that is sometimes the farmers, that is the last part in a row, and they really like it that the population now says, oh, you are a good farmer because you are growing sunflowers within your green menu crop. You are welcome to visit us. We are taking your flowers. You are nice. And that is also not the effect, not for nematode reduction, but for the population. And because we do not have this high pressure of nematodes in every area of Germany, we look more on soil health, if they are rooting and something like that. Maybe that is the same if you have a community, if there are no nematodes and you do not need the special effect, that might be also possible. But we are totally in change because we have to cut our nitrogen like Denmark years before. Now we will start 1st of January that we are not allowed to use fertilizer for the green menu crop. And that, I think, will change a lot in our thinking.
Yeah, thank you, Michaela. Harm, do you have more questions to Michaela?
Give the floor to others first, please.
Yeah, please write your questions or ask to come on stage if you have comments or questions to Michaela. Meanwhile, I see we have a suggestion here. Is it possible to start a discussion room on the Best for Soil website for pictures with unknown damage to receive feedback and learn, and all experiences from practice when unexpected damage occurs? I would think so, but if you have comments, other participants from the Best for Soil project, then please come in. But we could take that later. But I know Gita, she has a question for Michaela.
Yeah, but Harm, he asked also about club root and other diseases, if they will increase in the future with climate change. And I think you are right, because club root, like high soil temperature in the autumn, and also these climate extreme with more heavier rains, for example, will give good conditions for club root. And I guess we can also find a few other examples. Yeah, I had also a question to you, Michaela. You mentioned the multi-resistant varieties when we speak nematodes, the brassicas, the oilseed rape, and the oil radish. Yeah, the different varieties. But I think I wouldn't expect that we have multi-resistant varieties. When I think about how many nematodes we have maybe 25 different plant parasitic nematodes. So I was wondering if we have some varieties which are multi-resistant. So can you tell me which nematodes I was speaking about?
We start before my time. think I'm doubled somewhere. Is it backstage and homes? Yeah. Okay. I talked to you just before. So we started with beet cyst nematodes, which are called nematode resistant. And then we add the resistance of Melodogyne sheetwoodii and Melodogyne hapla incognita. So how to explain the farmer that there is a difference? Then we have the varieties which have the possibility to reduce corky ring spot. There with the Trichodorus nematodes, and some which show less multiplication in Bratulenchus, Neglectus, and Crenatus. So we combine this for the multi-resistant varieties. That is in opposite or in addition to the Heterodera schachtii, we have their information and for several other nematodes. They are not taking every nematode, and I think there are 5 new diseases every year we want to add. For clubroot, we have those variety. You said there is an index from 0 to 100, and we did this testing. We find in radish a differentiation between every radish variety and line we have between 0 and 50, and we try the best varieties, and you have shown it. Unfortunately, there was a translation about the varieties. So some of the multi-resistant varieties are still a little bit better than others. But in breeding, there are some lines which are more close to resistance. So the idea is to combine as much as possible in these multi-resistant varieties. So it is easier, more for potato growers to use them against clubroot. I wouldn't advise at the moment, but maybe in future, you never know with the new varieties. But I also have a question for your presentation. Can we just change to... Yeah,
let's do that. Yeah.
Here comes the question up: why don't you use the resistant rapeseed varieties? If you have so much clubroot, why don't you use the resistant variety of rapeseed to gitter in Denmark?
Yeah, so we don't have so much as in Schleswig-Holstein, I can say. But it's because they are, the one explanation is that they are lower yielding. Okay. 10% lower yield. And we also think it's a bad idea to use them very frequently, because we have found these races or pathotypes which can infect them. And in some fields, maybe we have infection there, but it's maybe only 5% of the plant which is infected. And maybe when you have half yield in 5% of the field, then you have only a yield decrease of 2.5%, but the yield decrease is 5 to 10% if you have the resistant varieties.
Yeah. And second question, what will you do if you have no glyphosate any longer? Is it also, does it end in Denmark also? The next,
the Danish Böden, they say it's okay. Denmark is one of the countries saying glyphosate is okay. So we have to see how many countries will say okay and not okay.
Okay.
But we are working with to try to decrease the use of glyphosate. And hope that will be good to show the political people that we do something and the use of glyphosate is decreasing.
Okay, that was a question. Thank you.
And maybe I think we could drag forward some of the questions that Gita got in the Danish session, and maybe that could give some comments from the other countries, because some of the questions that were asked is it do we have companion crops that can help reducing club root? And you answered that, Gita.
Yeah, we have nothing which is effective when we speak about companion crop and club root, unfortunately.
But also the thing with liming was discussed. Is it are there any documentation that drill seeded lime with seeding of oilseed rape, it can reduce club root? And we have tried to get some experiments done in Denmark, but we haven't done so far. But you could just say your conclusions up until now.
Yeah, we haven't done anything by ourselves, but we have seen trials from Scotland, for example, where they have given perlka, calcium cyanide, and high amounts of lime, and it was very small effects they had, and the effect was only for 1 year, so it would be very expensive for the oilseed rape that you have to do that every time when you cultivate oilseed rape. But if the field need to have lime, then we recommend that it's a good idea to give it before you cultivate oilseed rape.
Yeah. And in my backstage chat, I see that we could bring Vincent in concerning the question about sharing pictures of symptoms, both or especially from symptoms that you can't really explain where from. So Vincent, please.
Yes, I think it's a really good idea. I think we could produce such material, but you have to be aware, we saw this in the presentation also from Lars, above ground symptoms are not always very clear. You know, I do a lot of diagnostic and I'm surprised myself sometimes what I can find. So I think it's not really possible to say, well, this is the symptom above ground, so you have this kind of problem. But I think you can make a gallery of symptoms above ground, below ground, like for the nematodes, for some pathogens is also possible. So then this could help the growers to at least make a first step in diagnostic themselves. Harm talked about the practical abstracts, could be a practical abstract, or even more than that, could be a new fact sheet perhaps. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. And there's a comment here from Henrik in Denmark. Have you tried a seed treatment with compost extracts? And I guess that's about club root, maybe in relation to club root.
We haven't tried it, but there have been some work at Copenhagen University, Birgit Jensen. She had tried different fungus to spray it, but I'm not sure that if she had tried seed treatment. But Birgit Jensen could be a Danish person to ask.
Please be welcome to ask further questions and add in comments. But I think we haven't had Michael on stage in the English spoken language from UK and Ireland. Could you come in, Michael, and share with us what questions you had there?
Hello, Marianne.
Hi, Michael.
Apologies, we're having a little bit of internet problems, but I hope it will hold through. We had a question for Gita. We had a couple of questions for Gita. Her talk on club root sparked a lot of conversation. The first question is, are there any differences between cruciferous weeds in their ability to host club root, particularly maybe charlock, Synapsis arvensis, which is one of the most common weeds in Ireland?
you never, er det ikke hyrdetaske? Sinapis, yeah, hyrdetaske. Yeah, we also see attack in hyrdetaske. One of the photo I showed, that was in hyrdetaske, which we call it in Danish. Capsella, isn't it called? What do we call it in Latin name? Hyrdetaske.
Synapsis arvensis.
No, arvensis. What is the Danish name? I think hyrdetaske, that is capsella. Do somebody know the Danish name for this?
Maybe we call it Sherlock, but maybe somebody.
Can you check it? What's the name in?
But
Danish?
I think the question in general was: do you find there's a difference between the cruciferous weeds in their ability to be colonized by clubroot?
Yeah, I have understand that. We don't have any data for that, but I have seen it in the most widespread brassica herbicides, eller hvad hedder det, ukrudtsplanter.
Yeah, weeds.
Weeds, yeah.
Thank you. And there was another question. Do you think that soil temperature and climate change will have an impact on increasing clubroot problems into the future?
Yes, they will, because the soil temperature will increase, so you can have a higher multiplication. And also these weather extremes will be, we'll see them more often. For example, we have a lot of rain, maybe 50 millimeter in 2 hours. We will see that more often, and that will be good for clubroot.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much. Really enjoyed your presentation.
Shepherd's
purse. It is.
Det er hyrdetaske.
No, it is a weed that.
Yeah. Okay. The shepherd's purse that was on the photo I showed you. So we see that also on shepherd's purse. We also see clubroot. You can see the photo in the presentation. That was shepherd's purse, one of these plants.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. More questions or comments? Yeah. Would you like to address some questions for some of the other people in the group? About the...
I don't know if there's any plant breeders here. How is the future with resistance against clubroot in oilseed rape? Do you have new genes? And how is the risk for getting a breakdown of resistance in oil radish? Okay. Sherlock is also infected with clubroot. We see that also in Denmark. That's not unusual. But maybe we can get some experience from the UK or Scotland, how many attacks you see in the resistant varieties in oilseed rape. I guess it's not seldom to see attack in the resistant varieties. Isn't that true?
It doesn't seem that there are response back here, but please facilitate us. I don't. Could you please show the chat for us on stage here? It says there are different other, that is a huge problem in clubroot management. Other weeds. Yeah, thank you. I think I'm not. What was it in the? There was in the events. There was comments to Grace from UK. She says, "I'm not sure of resistance for clubroot in the UK, but I can check, and if resistance have broken down, new genes, etc. Yeah, thank you, Grace. Do you have further questions, Grace, for Michaela or Gita? Not at the moment. No. But I'd like to hear, do some of you facilitators in the other languages, do you have more questions or comments? Then please ask to get on stage. Okay. Other comments? Okay. I hear there are more comments here. If crop rotation is an important element of many crop pathogen controls, should the working group recommend the European farmers be supported, organized and financially to encourage sharing land for rotation optimization, perhaps at EU level? Yeah. Yeah, I think we are also very. I think it's a good case to bring up and a good comment. But I think that countries are very different concerning this issue, because, for example, in Denmark, a lot of soil is circulated from owner to owner. So if some should have, we should really have the opportunity to switch crops between farmers, since they switch their soil when it's rented from other farmers. So I think we have the opportunity to do it, but I'm not sure that it's done as good as it could be. And I don't know how it is in other countries, but we rent forth and back a lot in Denmark, I think, compared to other countries. Have you tried to increase the fungi-bacterial ratio to decrease weed pressure?
No.
No.
We haven't made any investigation with that in Denmark.
No. Clubroot, also a big problem in vegetables, many brassica crops. So we have to find strategies together with other farmers. Yeah, it's addressing the same comment as we should share our soil for different crops more than we do, so that we can get a better rotation and a better prevention. Thank you. Are there more coming in? It doesn't seem so, but then I finish. Do we have more in the chat? Okay. Okay. Also in the Netherlands, lots of fields are exchanged. Yeah. But I think, and in the UK, there's a lot of renting of land to ensure rotations are wide enough from one brassica to the next. And the farmer, and next comment, the farmer who rent want to more about the field history. Yeah, the farmers, they would like to know about the field history, and that's of course necessary to plan prevention, that you know what was done before. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and we are almost running out of time now, and I hope you have enjoyed this day. It's close to 5 now here in Denmark, and close to 4 in. Okay, I have a colleague, Harm, in the Netherlands, who wants to get in now, and please let Harm into this. Yeah, Harm?
Yeah, what was triggering me is, okay, also in many countries it seems that land is rented out to other people for rotations. But is there also any soil sampling going on nematodes, for example? I think that would be a very interesting thing to do, and I think that it should be stimulated much more to do some soil sampling, and I would like to hear some opinions from other people.
Yeah,
but it could also be interesting to get an overview about soil testing for diseases. I think we have only very few diseases. Maybe that could be a topic for these information we spoke about, because the most normal is to make analysis for nematodes, I think. But what about verticillium? How many country and which species of verticillium can we get soil tests? And what is the price and so on? Maybe that would be a topic for a leaf letter or something.
Yeah. And another comment here, and that's very right, that exchanging fields is okay, but don't forget contractor machines used on many fields from different farmers. And we have club root as a good example, that you can take a disease from one field to another very easily with the machinery. So you should be aware of that in your cropping.
And weeds.
Yeah, weeds as well. Several studies prove the effectiveness of incorporating fungi into the soils to deal with weed pressure. I invite everybody to take a look. Thank you very much. So please share the information with us. That would be nice. And Grace, the extent of soil sampling for nematodes is not known. No, not in the UK. We need funding to do nationwide nematode testing to monitor what's there. Sometimes farmers and growers don't know what nematodes they have. I think that's often the case. So yes, it's there's still much to explore in most fields, and I think we should fade out for now because it's very nice to meet all you people in all these different countries. And share the same interests, that we want to go nice, good crops with good yields, and we would like to learn more about what happens below the soil surface, just to prevent diseases and maintain a good yield. So I think we can carry on with this, and for now, we have used the first day in this workshop, and I look forward to see you again tomorrow. Finally, I'd like to say thank you to all the speakers and all the people from the project involved in this, and also all the people who helped us in the back with all these technical things, both in the different countries, and also the main hop-in destination in Istria, where the 7 Reasons, they have run all this for us. So I think everything has run very well today. So we hope that will be the same thing tomorrow. So look forward to see you again tomorrow morning, and that will be 8:30 in sessions in the room you choose for Denmark and those countries with the same time code, and an hour earlier for you in the UK and Ireland. So thank you for today, and we'll see you tomorrow, and have a nice evening. Best for soil from here. Bye.